Our Deputy Education Minister Yao Edichum says government has devised mechanisms to absorb the expected huge number of 2018-2019 SHS cohorts who will graduate to tertiary institutions in the country. Some pundits have said that government is only postponing the repercussions of a free SHS that does not target the poor, because in a few years the 2018-2019 cohort will be graduating to various tertiary institutions. Hence, it is important to know the measures tertiary institutions are putting in place to accommodate the number. But speaking on the sidelines of a Meet the Press series to address concerns, Deputy Education Minister said the government will be innovative in dealing with any possible challenge.
There's no direct consequence. You see, innovators are the ones who transform their nations. Nation by nation, what has happened over the years is that it's not about natural resources, it's not about money, it's going to be transformation of your nation depends upon innovation. If we were not an innovative government, you will meet a roadblock, and that roadblock is facility. Then, because of the facility, you don't do anything. Then you fold up your arm and you cry. Americans will say you have a pity party. You are just so miserable that you are partying by yourself and saying, why did I not think about it? We are an innovative party, innovative government, innovative ministry. So when challenges come, we use innovation to solve them. So yes, increase in numbers is going to come. That is why we're also doing construction differently. We are securitization, get fund revenue, so that our $1.5 million coming, a large amount of it is going to build university infrastructure, ensure that there's more space for the incoming large numbers of free senior high school students. So we are innovative. Challenges come, we innovate, we'll get ourselves out of it, and we'll be on top of our game to ensure that the vast majority of our children have an opportunity to get educated. So we don't see problems, we see opportunities. We have an opportunity to educate about 1 million more students in 6 years. It's not a problem, it's not a challenge, it's a great opportunity for the transformation of our country.
Deputy Education Minister Dr. Yao Edichum. Now, the Education Minister Matthew Puku-Prempeh says a little over 300 million cedis will be needed to roll out the double track. The money will be used for the payment of newly recruited 8,000 teachers and 50 cedis as academic intervention for each student.
By our calculation, we said we need 8,872 teachers. These teachers will be gainfully employed, not short term. They will be employed, and it will be increasing the number of students, teachers in the school. The cost is what we have analyzed to mean if you employ a graduate teacher, how much you pay, and the total cost is 267 million. It is one of the two interventions that government is going to do because of adoption of the semester system. Next slide. The other intervention is that government is going to provide per head 50 cedis to every student as academic intervention, where the teachers, if they want to have to organize extra lessons in maths and English, they will not charge the students. But government will give them money to be able to pay for those extra students. And then we are saying that Saturdays, if it's not an SDA school, or Sundays, if it's an SDA school, should be declared academic intervention days, so that the teachers can supervise and give extra tutorials or extra classes or a supervised learning environment to kids when they come to school. For those kids who breaks, like the track green, who would break more frequently, we are organizing to have extra classes at home and give them work when they are going home so that they can fulfill it. And we will provide centers in the constituencies for them to engage to meet teachers. If you realize, government has another program called NAPCO that 43,000 registered teachers have applied to educate Ghana. We have enough flexibility to put some of these teachers to help these kids even while at home. And that cost is what we've put up there as 55. Next slide. If we add the teaching cost per year and the academic intervention per year, government has to find the money, nearly 300 or 400 million, to cater for that. And that is what Cabinet decided, that we're going to find the money and wrote to the Ministry of Finance, not only to provide financial clearance, but to make sure that that money is found, because government regards education as the bedrock of national development.
Minister there, Matthew Poku-Prempeh, explaining in details. I don't know if you understand. I don't quite get it. I have people here in the studio who will help us get it, not just to understand it, but also whether or not they think it is feasible. Vincent Assefuah is the PRO, head PRO of the Ministry of Education. He's here. Mr. Assefuah, thank you so much for your time.
Most welcome.
And also here in the studio with me is Kofi Asare. He's a member of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. Mr. Asare, it's good to see you once again.
Thank you.
Okay, let me start with you, Vincent, from the ministry. Vincent, let me start by asking for a bit of clarity on the 50. I think let me just take a summary of what the minister did today. Give us a summary of what the plan is, how it's going to work next month. Right.
A very good afternoon to you once again, and my very good friend here, and to your cherished viewers. Today, around 10 a.m., the Minister of Education took a stand with the media press. He made mention of the fact that the state or this country is going to what we call semester system. If you go to our various universities, you could see that that's the system that all the universities are actually practicing. So the senior high schools are going to go what we call semester basis, but it is going to have an add-on of a double track. The double track is coming in because of the challenge that we face as a country. Mm-hmm. If you check the statistics from 2013 coming, it is clear that we should have done something like this even before now, because every year the numbers kept on increasing to the extent that you can find about 15%, 13% every year as far as registrants of the BEC are concerned. So we should have been able to know that as a country, the time will come that we will be faced with that stark choice of whether we have to leave a number of our students home or better still make them go to school. If you look at the number of students who graduated from the senior high schools this year, it's about 270,000. Meanwhile, if you check the CSS PS data, the choice files, you could see that about 521,000 BEC registrants have been able to register on the CSSP. So ab initio, it tells you that we have a problem at our hand that we have to deal with, because 270,000 spaces available, meanwhile 521,000 students will have to go to school. The increment of the 521,000 is basically on three reasons. Number one, if you remember that the government was able to make registration of BEC examination free for all students for last academic year. So every child in this country who would BEC did not pay registration fee. Hitherto, headmasters will sack students and will not make them write their exams because of registration fee. So now because of that,
sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you briefly. I get that you're giving us the background. What we would like to know more of is we get the essence of what the minister did today. Can you give us a wrap of it? Break it down further for us to grasp everything that he tried to put out there today. Okay, so it is important for us to know why the numbers are up. Just three things, and I'll move on with it. First is that the registration fees of the BEC students, we made it free. Secondly, the implementation of the free SHS itself, that it has been oversubscribed. Now parents and students have seen that they can now have education for free without necessarily paying. Then the third one, the receipt examination. If you remember, the past government had to make students who were able to qualify to write their BEC exam. So the numbers have gotten to about 520. We have to deal with it. Now, what the minister said today was that if you are going to be in your first year this academic year, September, you know that you are now going on a semester basis. The first track, you have to go for the first year, you have to go for the first 41 days. I would have wished that your producers will put it on the screen for us to see. But you go for the first 41 days, then you come home. For your other colleague to also go to school for another 81 days straight before it ends its first semester. For another 41 or 81?
81 days. Because at the time that you are going for your 41 days, the second track or the second group will be home waiting for that 41 days. So when they come, they go straight 81 days and they end their semester. By the time that the first one who also came on vacation will also go for another session, they will also go and end up with the track 2 or the track B.
So if some people are going 41 and some are going 81, I thought that you go 41, the next team comes and then they also go 41. Isn't that the arrangement?
Because if you check the arrangement, that's what I'm saying. I would have wished that we would be able to show.
Yeah, we're trying to put it up, but we're not being successful at the moment. Let's see what you have on your paper. Maybe we can put that to the camera.
If you check the graph that I have here, the spaces are going to be created.
Okay. Let's see
the
if we can just
spaces are going to be created from the second year and the third year.
Okay, so this is how it looks like. Hopefully, camera will be able to take a look at it.
Yes.
Right. So
you can see that the spaces will be created from the third years and the second years when the third years go on vacation. Okay. When the third years go on the vacation, because the third years will go straight 81 days. When they go for their straight 81 days, they will come on vacation for 40 days. At that time, the first years who went for their first 41 days are already home.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
So now the space will be created at that point in time for the 2 streams of the first years to be able to be in school at the same time and write their examination at the same time.
Okay, so
that is what the minister said.
So I'll have you look at the screen now and try and explain this for us.
Right. So if you check from the third year, you see that the third years will go 81 days straight. Then they will come on vacation.
Okay, I see SHS 2. Or is that SHS 3?
SHS 3,
okay,
yes. Then the SHS 2 will also go straight 81 days.
Okay.
But you realize that the SHS 1, the first track will go 41 days. So you can see that their vacation will not start at the same time. Okay. But the first days will go earlier, about 40 days earlier. At that time when they come back, and they are going to continue with the rest of the 41 days or the 40 days, the second years and the third years will be on vacation. That is the space that has been created.
Okay.
So a school that hitherto will be taking about 3,000. Now, if you do the calculation, you can have about 2,750 case study at Chimota School.
Okay.
This system is going to ensure that we have reduced size class.
Okay.
Again, the number of students that we should be able to take. If we're able to take about 3,000, now we can take about 4,500 for them to be in the same class.
Okay, much more of that. So the last time I had the Deputy Minister here, he did explain all of these, but it looks as if people still need the explanation. So it's good that you're giving us all of this background and information. And I'll come to you, Kofi Asare, to tell us what you think about this structure. Have you seen it? What do you make of it? In the meantime, when I finish with Mr. Asare, Mr. Vincent, if you tell us how we're going to pay the teachers, that's one of the things that have come up from the minister's presentation today that I think we can use some clarity on. So you've seen the structure. There you have it. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I've seen the structure. But let me quickly say that Vincent mentioned the 3 reasons why the structure is today a topical issue. And he said that among others, the number of BEC candidates shot up.
Yes.
And the minister said today that they only got wind of the information when the BEC candidates actually, when the Form 3 students actually registered for the BEC and became
Then they realized that there's a huge figure.
Which was in June. That was when they were confronted with this issue. So they've had only between June and now to organize an emergency policy. I don't agree with him in the sense that in September 2017, we knew the number of students who were in junior high school 3. We knew there were 521,000. And in September 2017, we also knew that the Ministry of Education had granted a waiver for the registration fee for the BEC. So it would have been reasonable to expect that once you have removed the financial barrier, the fee, the BEC registration fee.
Lots of people woke up. So you're basically, are you disputing the basis upon which he placed the argument that a lot of people are going to SHS?
It couldn't have been in June. We saw this thing in September, because in September we knew the number of junior high school 3 students, and we knew that we have removed the fees, the registration fees. So there would be no reason why anyone would not register for the BEC. So it would have been prudent for us to have planned with the 521,000 or so students, because we knew that number in September 2017.
So you're saying that the ministry delay. They could actually have acted earlier.
Exactly.
That's what you're
the
saying.
discussion should have been had in September to October last year.
Okay.
So that we could have had options. But that is my last
right,
point.
so that we can move on because we've actually moved on.
That is my final point on this.
But
now, once
it's not true.
It's not true that you could have known that the numbers would have been 521,000.
Not that the number could have been.
That's what he said.
His argument is
I knew the number of Form 3 students.
Okay,
fantastic. But you couldn't have known the number of people who registered onto the CSS.
So I think his argument is that you could have made projections to know that the number will increase.
Projections are made every year because, as I told you, from 2013, 2014, 2015 coming, the increment have always been about 13%, 14%. So that is established. It is right knowledge. And Ghana Education Service and Ministry of Education, we are very much aware that every year there is an increment of about 13%.
So hold on, gentlemen. These are the figures, right? And we're talking about the gap analysis. So this shows the increment, right? The number, the excess.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
This is it. And that's 181,993.
Yes.
And he's saying that you could have projected, it may not be the same
It's
figure.
actually the 472,000. That's the number that we are expecting to place.
472,000.
Sorry,
we're
expecting to enroll, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You see, so we had 520,000 students in Form 3. Knowing very well that from Form 3 you are going to senior
That's
school
not
1.
true.
Okay?
That's not
So-
true.
Okay.
The 521,000
So-
are students who have registered onto the CSSPS. So you could have known the number of students in JSS 3 fine.
Only
but
after.
you couldn't have known
Only
those,
after that.
Yes, but you could have known those who go and
but-
register, those who sat for the
So we should have planned the
research.
number of students in Form 3.
Okay, we should
what
have.
were you supposed to have
Now
done?
we should hold on,
Pardon?
hold on,
What were you supposed to have
gentlemen.
done?
Gentlemen.
Yes.
Okay,
We
can
should
I
have advising
moderate
the
this session? Can I
to have a
moderate this
plan
session?
for the
So
policy.
now the
Now
point
we're-
is, okay, the point is we have actually moved on. Where we are now, we have next month, and we have students who are going to school. We need to take care of the student, and we need to have a proper plan for the students to be able to go to school and learn in peace. So why don't we focus
that's where I'm
on the
now
way
coming.
forward?
Exactly.
Very well, very
The
well.
way forward is actually my focus. Okay, I wasn't expecting you to react to what I said because it's actually.
No, he thinks that you're not providing accuracy, and he's trying to correct it.
But that's the fact. That's the
It's not a fact. Tell us the number of
I
students.
want us to go forward.
You
We are
told
moving
us. You
forward.
told us that you know the number of students who were in GSS. Tell us. Tell us.
So as we speak.
No,
now,
you can't run away with this. Tell us.
We are moving forward on the policy.
You see, the
Right.
populism should stop.
He
You should
wants
tell
to
us.
take me back.
Tell us the number of students
Hold
who
on.
were.
Let's do this in
Every
a
junior
ministry
high
should
school.
know
Okay,
the number
hold
of
on.
students in
Let's
junior
do
But he
this.
high
just sat here to tell us that he knew.
Let's do this.
So
in a
tell
few-
us.
Let's do this
Tell
in a
us.
few
Tell us.
seconds.
Of course.
What was your expectation?
Tell us, let us know.
Mr. Sarri, your
Absolutely.
expectation was that the ministry should have made projections, should have known that the number was going to increase.
Immediately you remove the BC registration figures so that everybody will register.
You expect that everybody, but you can't know a figure.
No,
You cannot put a figure to
A
it.
matter of error will be there, but definitely for planning purposes, you cannot have an excuse.
Okay, did the ministry make any such projections?
When you check the figures, let me show you.
That's
And
why
we can put
Yes,
the
yes.
figure
I
up.
told
We
you
can put
that.
the
See,
figure up.
if you look at
This
the
figures were
enrollment,
made in
hold on,
No,
hold
let
on,
him
hold on.
finish.
If you look at the enrollment trend, it clearly tells you that every year we knew the amount of numbers that
So every
were
year
added.
you expect a certain
About
increase.
13 to 15%.
Okay, but what
You
happened in
understand?
2017?
What happened in 2017
There was
was
no
that
registration
fee. Please hold on, please
because of the oversubscription of the free senior high school, now it became free. So a lot of students who hit it about 2012 were not able to go to school, 2013 were not able to go to school because of finances, because number two, probably because of failure of the examination, were now going to have their receipt. You couldn't have
Okay,
gone
so
to the
here is
various
what-
homes to know the number of
this
students
is
who
fact.
were going to write.
This is fact. Let me just
The
go through
BC.
it. So in 2014, that's the figure you see there, 273,152. In 2015, 299,649. So obviously the number is increasing.
Yes.
In 2016, 308,799. And then in 2017, we see 17.2% increase.
Yes.
That is 361,771.
Yes.
Next in this year, next month,
Yes.
we're expecting 472,730, which is a
Yes.
30.7% increase
Absolutely.
in the figure. So
Yes.
obviously the number has increased.
There's a trend.
And this trend in 2017 has actually gone way beyond
Absolutely.
what you could normally project
Project.
with the figures you've seen since 2014.
Absolutely.
But your point is that they could still have known.
The data you saw is projected enrollment.
Okay.
And I'm saying that in
So
September.
this is projected enrollment.
This is not enrollment in junior high school 3. This is projected enrollment into from senior high school 1.
Okay.
Okay. Wait,
Yes, that's
look
it.
at it.
That's
I agree. I'm saying that.
No. Wait. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you made your
All
point.
I'm saying is that in September 2017, we knew the number of students in junior high school 3. And,
Okay.
and we expected that they will be going to senior high school 1 next year.
Okay.
In that same September,
What was the number? That's what I want to know.
Hold on. You made your point.
520,000.
No,
that is wrong.
Mr. Sefa, hold on.
Tell me the right one.
That is wrong.
Okay, gentlemen, hold on.
Second.
You made your points. Let him make his point, and then we take it from there.
Oh.
In that same September 2017 or thereabout, government removed the BEC registration fee, which was welcome news because many students could not pay. Some students could not pay it. For that matter, there was a gap between the total number of students in junior high school 3 and the total number of students who have actually ruled the BEC. So when you remove that fee, you should expect reasonably that everybody informed.
Okay, so now I think that the point, the issue here, the issue that he seems to have with your point is that you cannot put a figure to it. But you, in the beginning, you mentioned a certain figure.
520.
So you're saying that 520 is not accurate.
That can't be true.
It's not accurate.
Has he given
That's
that
okay. That's okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
No, hold on.
That's okay.
Let me show you the
That's
figure.
okay. I think that we should. I think yes.
This is the figure.
And hold on.
We should go for
the figure. This is the 521,000 who have registered onto the CSSPS, the computer platform. And so this number is, hold on, this number includes, hold on, let me show you. This number includes,
and we'll just end it there.
BEC registrants who were in junior high school 3. It also include those who were home from 2013
and who raised that because then government
so
has
you can't sit here and tell me that you knew the number of senior high school. I
think we have the facts now. I think we have the facts now. We can move on. The fact, I mean, it doesn't matter the figure you want to look at. The fact is that there has been an escalation. The figures have gone up higher than you would ordinarily have projected with the figures from 2014. So the point he's making, and I think you both have legitimate points here. His point is that you should have seen this coming and worked towards it. That's the point he's making. And I don't know if the ministry has any will contest that.
Yes.
Obviously, you should have, you could have. But let's move on with the plan. The plan we have now. Now you're telling me about why you think, what you think, or what you make of this plan that they've put together about how they're going to roll out this double track system.
This plan is what we have as a government policy to work with now. And so, after we've made our opinions known and government persists on going ahead with it, all we do as citizens is support the implementation.
Right.
Okay? That has been our strategy as society organizations. So we understand how the system works, as he mentioned. We understand that there will be a first track and a second track for the first year students. And then the other second and third year students, they're going to be the full track, but then they're all going to run the semester system. Government has explained to us in this system that it's going to offer more instructional time. There will be more time to spend in school between 8 o'clock and 4 or 7:30 to 3:30. That's good. Government has also said that because most of the tracks will be, the joint track will be in school when there's vacation. There will be more room. You know, there will be lesser class sizes because currently class size is an issue. We have schools that are running class size up to about 160 in Anglo Senior High School.
Right.
So that is also welcome.
So it looks good to you, basically, from what you're saying.
As it is. It looks good
as it is on paper, it looks good to you.
And then all we can do is to support the implementation of this policy.
Okay. So, Vincent, it looks good to him. Usually in Ghana, we've had that problem where things look good on paper, but always there's a problem with implementation. The minister mentioned today how about 50 cedis per head. Could you clarify that to us? What exactly does it mean? How much are the extra teachers that you're employing going to be paid? And not 50 cedis per head of student. Exactly what does it mean?
Let me say that it is right that when something looks good on paper, it leaves much to be desired as far as this implementation is concerned. So, as stakeholders of education in this country, all of us have a role to play in making sure that its implementation is implemented excellently. Of education, we have engaged a number of stakeholders as far as education is concerned. The people themselves who are supposed to be down there to implement the free SHS, CHAS, teachers, headmasters, district directors, GES, NACA, religious bodies, because you remember or you know that from 1957, most of our senior high schools were mission-based senior high schools. We've been able to involve or as it were consult all religious bodies. So all of us have a role to play as far as the implementation of the senior high school is concerned. Let me state that when you look at the number of teachers that we are supposed to employ, per the statistics that we have, we anticipate that we should be able to employ about 8,700 teachers.
The minister says 8,800.
800, that's what I say about. So let me say around 9,000.
Okay. Okay.
These are the number of teachers that we will need. And these teachers,
so
the minister said
actually the exact figure is right there. We can put that up for our viewers to see. The exact figure is in the documents that you brought. That's 8,872. 8,872.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the unit cost is 30,120
for the year.
For the year.
Yes.
Okay.
And that will include taxes and deductions and everything.
Okay. So finish with what you were saying.
So we anticipate that because of the pool of teachers that we have in this country, it is not going to be difficult at all in engaging about 9,000 teachers in this country. You know why? Because there was a government policy called NAPCO. When teachers were asked on the Educate Ghana to go and, as it were, register on the Educate Ghana, we had about 43,000 teachers in this country, clearly telling you that they are unemployed and they are available to work. So it is not going to be difficult at all.
So they are not teachers; they are students. They are graduates.
They are supporting
they are not teachers.
the teachers.
No.
Please let's
for now they are not teachers. They are graduates.
Okay, are you talking about teachers or graduate teachers?
I'm saying that NAPCO, the number of teachers who, as it were, registered on the NAPCO. Educate Ghana, not graduates. Hold on.
Those who applied are students.
No.
Okay.
You see, he's just sitting on the big platform like this.
Are the people on the Educate Ghana option and the NAPCO, are they all teachers?
Of course, the requirements.
They are teachers, qualified teachers.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. It is Educate Ghana. You understand? It is Educate Ghana. So if 43,000 graduates, teachers, teachers are they not graduates?
Okay, so they are graduate teachers.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So if about 43,000 teachers who are graduates, as it were, registered onto the NAPCO, it tells you that we have the pool of teachers to be able to employ.
Okay, so what we need now is what?
What we need now
I'll bring you in, Mr.
What we need now is that GES will have to start the processes to engage those teachers.
Has the process not started already?
For now, no.
Why?
We are hoping that by the close of this week or next week, we should be able to start the engagement of those teachers.
8,000.
Yes.
Okay. Educate me on the 50 cedis per student per head. I don't understand. What is it supposed to be?
That is supposed to be for extracurricular activities.
Okay.
If teachers are supposed to be engaged apart from their normal teaching hours.
Normal school, okay.
So if you are a teacher and you are willing, it is not going to be under compulsion. But if you are willing to do some sort of an overtime during the Saturdays or Sundays or whatever, the government is going to spend 50 Ghana cedis on each student.
Okay.
So teachers are going to have some sort of an extra allowances as far as the double track.
So if you take care of extra hours, you take 50 cedis per head.
No, the 50 cedis for the whole year. So you will be paid based on the number of hours that you teach. Because you and I know that for the whole month, a normal teacher is paid about 1,002. That is the basic salary. About 1,000, 2,000, depending on the grade actually. So which
is very bad.
That is not very bad. Go to the various private senior high schools and know.
No, government ought to set the right example. But anyway, that's a different debate.
It's not very bad.
Oh, hold on. That's a different.
We are in this country. Some of these private
that's a different
teachers
debate.
are paid about 300 or 400 Ghana cedis a month.
That's a different debate. That's a problem that government must fix.
But
if private teachers, no, hold on. If private teachers are, we know the minimum wage doesn't take care of people's needs. So that's a different debate altogether.
But it is not
very well
woefully bad. We can do better.
That's what you say. Yes. The politicians earn much more than that.
I'm not a politician.
I'm not saying you're a politician, but I'm saying the politicians earn much more than that.
Right.
Even though teachers are putting in a lot of work, training people and bringing them up. But
they deserve more. We agree, fine.
Of course,
but
they deserve much more. But that's a total different debate. Yes. Let's stick to double track and how we make it work. So if you do, teachers get to government gets to pay teachers a little extra if
Yes.
they teach extra hours. You had a concern, and make that brief for me. And when we finish that, we'll wrap up this conversation with you telling us a bit about the plan for tertiary institutions to take these students that are obviously going to. So back to the projections.
Right.
That we ought to at this point be projecting that the tertiary institutions are going to have to suck in all of these students that we're putting in because of free SHS.
Right.
Mr. Asari, you had some objections to the.
It wasn't an objection. I just want
to
to advise Vincent and other officials of the ministry who speak on this matter not to be apprehensive or overly defensive. When we get to the point where the policy is announced and government decides that it is finally rolling out a policy, all other concerns that may have been dissenting in nature are all shelved, and then the policy is looked at as a national policy, and then we approach it as such. So there's no need to be overly defensive. I was only drawing attention to something very simple, and if you heard me, you would have appreciated it. All I was only probably nomenclature.
So you wanted to say that the NAPCO, those on the NAPCO educate Ghana are not necessarily teachers now?
No, because they are unemployed graduates.
Yes, but they are teachers. They are trained teachers.
Where do they teach?
No, they are trained teachers,
Absolutely.
aren't they?
No.
2013, 2014, they were not employed.
Graduates.
So what's the
And
issue?
they are going to register.
Hold on, Vincent. Well, otherwise, our viewers won't get to hear anything at all. What's the issue? The issue is that they're not trained teachers?
If you say trained teachers, trained teachers
Have they finished the training?
with set A or diploma, they cannot teach in secondary schools. It's let's
Are you telling us that you know the sort of
You say
teachers
some of 15
who
that didn't
registered,
talk.
who registered onto the
Vincent,
NAPCO?
you've had your take. You've had your take. We need to wrap up, right? So we need to. So at the bottom of that, at the end of the day, we should be providing information that's beneficial to our viewers. Otherwise, they won't be watching us in the first place.
The point I'm making is that NAPCO was an opportunity for unemployed graduates to apply for
jobs,
employment.
for support, for jobs.
So if I am unemployed
Yes.
and I apply to NAPCO
Yes.
to teach, to work under the teaching model,
Yes.
it doesn't make me a teacher.
That is what I'm telling you.
Unless-
Educate Ghana is different.
Unless
Please
I
hold
start
on.
teaching. Okay, so if you say that there are 8,000 teachers with NAPCO, then I'll ask you, where do they teach? You can't mention a school.
Okay, so
you can't call them teachers. That's
like you said, it was basically
Matter of
about
nomenclature, you know.
about semantics.
As soon as you get your
But
BA,
Vincent
you
is
are a
overly-
teacher.
Okay, Vincent,
get your BA, you are a
Vincent,
teacher.
what's the plan?
Now
What's the
now we are
ministry's
together. So
What's the ministry's plan for the tertiary level? Is this something we're thinking about, or are we waiting to get there and say we did not project, or we could not have projected this figure? What's the
sister.
plan for the tertiary institutions?
Two cardinal points as far as tertiary education is much important is that one is issue of accommodation. Two, lecture theatres or lecture halls. If you have these two, you would be able to embark on any tertiary education that you think you can embark on.
So what's the plan?
Now go to our various universities. It's not only first years who are residential, who live in the various universities. Second years, third years, final years, per university's policies are supposed to be non-residential, right? When I was in KNUST, the first day I went there, I realized that there was this big lecture theatre for social sciences. If you were doing statistics and ICT, you can have about 1,800, 1,600 students in that same lecture theatre. And if you move to our various universities, they are even using internally generated funds to, as it were, build. Hold on.
Allow. Because I was actually just coming to let you know that I want to know what the plan is. Is there a plan? No, I mean, if there is no plan, I think that
There is a plan.
It would be good.
You
Okay,
heard
so
the
tell
deputy
us.
minister talk about it.
What's the plan?
The plan is that going forward, we are going to embark on infrastructure development in our various universities to be able to absorb the numbers. But you see, even without it, university education can still go on. That's what I'm making you know. That look at the sort of calendar that our various universities are even churning out these days. You go to Winneba, for example, you see a student going to school September, December, when he or she is done. As soon as he or she is bringing out his goods, another student is also going, saying sandwich. Okay. So the calendar will be able to help us. See, go to international communities. You go to US, you go to China, you go to Japan. The same existing infrastructure, yet they're able to increase the number of students who are able to be admitted in the various universities. So Fine, I agree that government will have to have infrastructure development, which the Deputy Minister also, as it were, reiterated that we are going to have infrastructure development as far as our universities are concerned. But
so we don't have an infrastructure development plan.
We have it, but
for the tertiary.
The Deputy Minister just said it, that we are going to embark on that plan.
And I was hoping that you'd give us a bit more information on that.
But I am telling you, hold on. I am telling you that it is the objective, the vision,
the idea is there,
of the Ministry of Education.
Okay.
You remember if you had
don't be defensive.
Mr. Sari, let me do the moderation.
The idea is there, but the plan is there. We accept it. But the idea is there. It's good enough.
Mr. Sari, can I do my job? Can I do my job? Can I meet my KPI? Thank you very much. So wrap up for me, Vincent.
So
there is no plan. It looks to me.
The plan is that government is going to invest in infrastructure as far as our various universities are concerned, because we know now the numbers have increased. Instead of the normal 15-17%, now it is 31%. So 4 years or 3 years to come, we have a challenge at our hands.
Vincent, Mr. Sari, you're obviously not convinced.
No, but I'm going to the plan. I'll wrap up by saying that, Vincent, by appealing to you.
No, you have your time. Just say what you want to say. You can't tell me what I should say on this platform.
I'm appealing to you.
If you just make your point.
Appeal to the ministry.
And please don't interrupt.
We foresee that for most of the teachers new teachers that will be engaging to teach in the schools, they are first-time teachers. Okay, they are graduated by first-time teachers. These 8,000 teachers, they are first-time teachers.
Okay.
And we foresee that we may have a situation where some of the teachers will see even the curriculum they are going to use. Okay, they might see it for the first time when they go to the school, when they are employed, because we have 3 weeks.
Okay.
We have to September.
And we still haven't
recruited them.
So you're suggesting that?
I'm suggesting that we should have.
See, that's why he's wrong.
You're suggesting
From the
that
Ministry of Education, we have the statistics that
I want
there
you
are
to
about
learn.
3,000 teachers who went on leave. By September, most of them are coming.
I'm projecting that we should speed up the rate of recruitment, so that at least we can have some in-service training for them, so that they will be familiar with the curriculum that they're going to be teaching. Because these are graduates, they are not teachers.
So there's a possibility that they are first-time teachers. They haven't even.
You see, when I raise an issue, don't be apprehensive. Appreciate it.
No, I agree. But what is the difference between this graduate and teachers?
No, but the point is, no. I think the point that he's making now, is that it will be good for teachers, especially if we know that most of them are going to be first-time teachers.
No. I'm saying that when you say that graduate, what does it mean?
No.
As soon as you have your B.Ed certificate,
I don't have the breakdown. Vincent, I don't have the breakdown of who is on the Educate Ghana under the NAPCO module.
Yes.
But if they are graduates who have never taught before,
in secondary school.
No. But the far they have the certificate,
no. But listen to the point he's making. The point he's making is that if they have never taught before, they need the experience. They need some training before you put them out there into the secondary schools or the senior high schools. You don't agree with that? Is that happening already?
In our various senior high schools, sometimes you are in Kenya and you'll be there and say a new teacher has been recruited. You and I know what sort of in-house training has been done for such people. They come in with their certificate as teachers. So far as they have had their certificates as teachers from Winneba UCC, they are qualified teachers.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, gentlemen. If you are watching us at home, I hope that you have had some education that should help you appreciate the issues further. The last time the Deputy Minister was here, you sent in a lot of messages, hundreds of messages that we couldn't answer all. I hope this answers some of them, and I hope that going forward, like the Deputy Minister said, there will be more opportunities so we can break it down further for you. I've been doing this with Vincent Eko Asifwa, who is the head PR Education Ministry. Vincent, thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome, my dear.
Also here in the studio with me is Kofi Asare. Kofi Asare is with the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. He's had a very interesting moment here with Vincent. Before we came on air, they actually having a very nice conversation.
Sometimes you put a spin on the matter. You not see it.
Okay. So this is education. We ought not, play politics, joke, cheat. We can't cheat the system, right? It will come back to haunt all of us.